Welcome to the Big Red Show. Today we've got Savannah Marshall and we're talking about transformation because we're both been on, I would say, incredible journeys.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I never thought I'd be sitting here and doing this with you. No, but I know your journey's been quite spectacular from, wow, a 13-year-old, I think, back to your first fight when we went down to, I think it was Birmingham or something down that road, and to being where you are now. If you want to just quickly introduce yourself, I'm sure everybody knows who Savannah is, but...
Savannah Marshall, female boxer, undisputed champion, Robert's cousin, another Marshall.
Another Marshall. Yeah. I did say to myself last time when you were doing a podcast with Paul Mort,
Yeah.
I'd love to do one of them with Savannah.
Yeah.
And isn't it mad? We're sat here doing it now. Buzzing. Yeah. So we're going to dive into it. Start at the beginning. What was life like growing up in Millbank Road? And do you think growing up in a Raj Rough council estate has made you more hungry for life?
Yeah, 100%. But you don't see it when it's happening.
Yeah.
But when I'm back in Hartlepool, every now and again, I'll drive down Millbank Road and it humbles me.
Yeah.
It makes me realise when there's windows put out and it's
where you
fences are down and people are running about in barefoot and in their pyjamas and screaming and shouting at each other. Kind of miss it a little bit because you think that's where I've come from. And back then all that was just normal to me and
fun.
Yeah, I loved it.
I think back to that. I was thinking about this. Kenton is very similar to that, but everybody knows everybody and everybody, so it's like a community, isn't it? Like my street alone, right? Next door neighbours would just walk in and out the house. We had Brett, Francis, Colin, Kimberly, and every neighbour sat in each other's house and drank in each other's house. The doors were always open. So when we say rough estates, but they were really tight net and like literally you could just walk in each other's house and safe. Even though everyone says, "Oh, you live there," and they'd say that, but such good people in the areas. And I think for me, it certainly did because we didn't have loads, but you generally had that hunger that you want to go out and get more from life. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you've been brought up in an environment where you've got dreams and ambitions and you want more, I think that's what drives you.
Did you ever tell your mum and dad about your dreams?
No, never spoke. No, never.
Savannah used to be super quiet, like on another level. When you come to mine, I used to go, yeah, you used to look at us again. Yes, no.
Run off.
But yeah, I was thinking, I never used to tell my mum how like that, I would like to be this when I get older. But has yours always been to be a world champion boxer?
No, never. Even when, do you know, I don't know, I mentioned this the other day. I done a little interview the other day, and even run up to the Olympics, I never ever, when I started boxing, thought, I want to go to the Olympics, I want to be a world champion. Every session for me was one day at a time, and I just loved how it made me feel. I used to get up in the morning, go to school, all the day through school I used to be thinking, can't wait to get to the gym, can't wait to
in autopilot, just waiting for that.
And that's all. I never ever thought, I want to do this and I want to do that. And before I knew it, I was junior European champion, British champion, going to senior world championships at the age of 18, winning medals, and then the next thing I'm going to the Olympic Games, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's what it was. I just loved it that much. It kind of just rolled into, autopilot.
You were just buzzing on it every day. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you realised, like, this is my job?
It was probably when I got to about 24, but by this point I was former world champ. I won the world championships in China. I'd qualified and went to the Olympic Games, and then when I was about 24, I'd went through a really rough stage where I was getting injured all the time. I was getting beat, and I really fell out of love with boxing. I think that's when it became a job for me, and I started to hate it. It wasn't I can't wait to go to the gym anymore. It was, I've got to go to the gym. I'm hating this, and that was when it kind of hit me that I don't really love this anymore.
So did you nearly walk away from it?
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it kind of drew back to, well, I've done it for this long. What else am I going to do?
Because when I was in Vegas with you, that was a point where you were just like, nah, I'm done. We went all the way to Vegas, right? And John, you know, your dad's like, don't worry, all the tickets are sorted, all the tickets, there's 10 over there, right? So we went to get the tickets. Oh, we've only got 2 tickets. I said, what do you mean? How are we going to get in there? Like, you just couldn't get in places in Vegas at the time. We ended up watching you fight on a little phone.
But not only that, for me, I used to hate you's lot coming.
I know.
Because it was, for me, it was extra pressure.
Yes.
And looking back now, especially you and my dad used to go to the Outback and beyond. Remember when you went to Bulgaria? Trains, planes and automobiles. It took you about 3 days to get there. And you turned up and I was just like, I hate
Didn't even want me there. So we went to Bulgaria. My Uncle John rang us up. He said, do you fancy Bulgaria? I went, John, it's December. It's my birthday. We're going for your birthday. Oh, but Savannah's fighting as well. I was like, it's snowing. So we got off the plane. The whole airport was closed down. We're walking around trying to speak to people and no one spoke English. And anyway, we got this train all the way to Yamble, it was called.
Yeah, Yamble, yeah.
Got off the train. It was just a bit of concrete on the track. John said to this man, do you know where the boxing is? The bloke stepping back like that. And I'm going, fight. And anyway, we got to somewhere. And then we're seeing, like, I was like, John, do you know our hotel? No. You've come all the way to Bulgaria. You don't know where the hotel is, John. Nah. You know what she's like, and then we end up tracking you. So it was like CSI. We'd arrive somewhere, and then we'd be like, "Does anyone know where the boxing is?" Because we're coming to watch Savannah. What you don't know, I'd be like, "Oh, listen."
Do you know what? I think this went on. That was when I was 17.
That wasn't the first time that happened.
And I think that went on until I was about 26.
Yes.
Find your own way.
Your dad used to just say to me, he used to go, it's cush, and then I used to think, I don't know what it is cush, like, you know what I mean? But we'd get there and then we'd just have to locate you.
Yeah.
And then when we did find Savannah, she would just wonder, oh, Savannah, hold it. Yeah.
Do you know what? And then I remember before the 2016 Olympic Games, when I had to qualify, like I said, I went through about 2 or 3 years of such a bad patch and I only had one chance to qualify. And you didn't come this time, and it was in Kazakhstan. It was just me daddy come all the way on his own. And that's when it all started to change for me, my mindset. And I remember...
Because he was the only parent there.
Yeah, and I remember him coming, he was like really like me lifeline. I remember him coming to pick me up every day. Me and him would go for food. He's come all this way for me, and that's when I've really appreciated like my dad and what he'd done for me. And I ended up qualifying, which was a great moment for me. After all them crappy years of not wanting to do it and not wanting him there. And then when I qualified, I thought, you know, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, that was buzzing. Because we couldn't go to China. That was the only big one we missed because it was just such a palaver. But I think you won it, but I don't know if you had like you say, it was pressure when we were there, and I could feel it. And like sometimes we would want to go and see us all, and John would just be like, no. But then once the fighting had finished, there was a different side here. And we'd all go for meals and stuff like that. But when I think back, your dad was there and there wasn't many other dads then.
No.
There
used to just be a lot on there. No one else's family or friends used to travel.
Because there was strange places. South Korea was one.
Well, yeah.
Which one was your most memorable?
Probably that one with my dad. Like I said, that one I really turned a corner personally with pressure, everything, appreciating my family and where I'd come and that sort of thing. And even after that, because I'd qualified, London was horrific for me. Couldn't deal with the pressure. So when I'd got another chance.
This one.
Yeah.
This was like the most, I think that was 2012.
That was London.
And this was just pure awesome.
For you, it was hell for me.
It was just like all of the family there. We've got lots of family from London as well, haven't we? My nana is originally from Windsor, and the whole family was there. There was like 20, 30 people, and I was a big party animal at the time, and it was just... Yeah, and then you got beat, didn't you? And everybody left.
Yeah. I got beat, yeah.
The only mean your dad stayed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was awesome, London, yeah.
For me, you had the typical young lad out from goodness knows what age,
I was in
loving the session,
yeah.
loving that wild life, partying.
That
And
was
then,
yeah.
at what point did you think, right, this is it, this is enough for me, I'm done?
Lockdown come, and that was. But before that, I never really wanted to change my life because I was having such a good time. I was a salesman. Like, so I ended up working in the bank for a little bit. I don't know how I ended up working in Northern Rock. Couldn't really even read it right at the time.
I remember that when you were there.
And I blagged myself in there. Half my mates went the other way, you know what I mean? And I just ended up in sales. Someone knocked on my door selling a mobile phone. I was like, yeah, mate, I could do that. And then he offered us like 40 quid. Then his boss come in and offered us 100 quid a phone. So I was like, straight on the doors, knocking doors, loved it. Just ended up into the sales, moved to Hartlepool. Someone gave us a flat and just that was the lifestyle then, just partying, drinking. Yeah, I loved it all. But then I think lockdown come, there was a load of my friends around us who just sort of, when I look back in hindsight, that's what triggered us, seeing everybody.
What, so did you feel like you were forced because of lockdown to make a change?
The lockdown come, and I'd read my first book ever, and it was called How to End Self-Sabotage and Become I read that in the back garden, right, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just bored. I'm just out all the time partying because there's nothing in my life. You know, I'm doing really well on sales. I'm buying this, I'm buying that. I was just bored of it. You know, so when lockdown come, it gave us a chance to do a whole weekend off the drink. That was my plan. I just thought, my first challenge, I'm going to do 3 days off the drink. And then I remember doing 14, and I was like, wow. And then I went straight back on it. You know what I mean? Because
You've done it.
you cannot change everything. I think the longest it was, I got myself up to 661 days drink free, but that was purely because.
Was that like 2 years?
Nearly 2 years, aye. I was just going for 90-day target, but I couldn't tell anybody because I didn't think I could do that. And your boxing fight was on day 14. Day 14, right? So I went to the boxing and I didn't tell anyone I wasn't drinking because I didn't know I couldn't.
When drinking now?
Aye.
Yeah.
I went in, but I'd got into the bar afterwards, so they were all already in rounds. So I thought, oh, this is easy. Well, not easy, but I went to the bar. I got myself a 00, put it in a normal pint glass, and just sat with them. Didn't say nothing about it because it would have been a big deal. What do you mean you're not drinking? Especially your dad, you know what I mean? But he didn't ask, so he wasn't bothered. So I had Ollie in that with us. But we got a taxi, like I say. I thought I would have drank, and then I just thought I'm going to try. And then we got VIP tickets, so when I went upstairs in the little box where you got free drinks, I just said to the lass, oh, there's a £5. She went, no, it's free. I went, no. Every time I come over, I just put 2 00s in a pint glass, and I'm not drinking. And she did. And I remember just being like, because I was so high off the energy anyway, and not drinking, thinking, you know, I don't even need to drink.
I remember me, well, like you said there, the cultures, people, what do you mean? Why aren't you drinking? And I remember my dad went through a phase of telling everyone you'd found God.
Who, me?
No, my dad.
Oh, he had found God.
No, you.
I had found God.
That's what I'm saying. Something wrong with Robert, he's found God, he's not drinking.
Yeah. Whenever you change, people, I mean, I was a pure party animal, I have to admit it, you know what I mean? I would drink, because I'd be working away for 3 days, so I'd be working away with the lads, we'd be knocking doors. Whoever does the most sales, I'll buy you a couple of pints, whatever it was, there'll all be a competition on, and then you'd be finishing work straight on the drink. What else are you going to do? A new city, a new town, it was all fun, and then you'd come back and party. So to change that, it was solid. It really was, aye. And then I would always get people saying that because of this, because of that. But at first it was just going for 90 days. That's all I wanted to do, just to do 90 days to show myself that I could. And then I was in the pub, and my mate was like, Robert, you're changing people's lives, you mate. Like literally, my mate in the bar, and he's raging. He actually said to them, get in the toilet, I want to talk to Red. I was like, oh, that'll do, kid. But he had hold of my hand, and you know, when someone's real and they're talking, like, he was like, listen, I says, you're pissed now. Anybody went, I haven't hardly ever drink. I've been watching your videos, and you're really helping people because they listen to you. And I just felt it. I was like, Oi, oi, I'm Robert Little, Smash Life Challenge. Come and join me, boost your resilience, gain more confidence, and achieve life-changing results in just 6 weeks. It's a 6-week program where we take you from your energy being like a 4 or 5 all the way up to an 8 to a 9. I give you the tools within this 6-week program to help you feel mint every day. So that's what made us keep going, because every time I seen new people or my old friends who I hadn't seen for ages were like, oh, thank you, Robert, I haven't drank for such and such and I haven't done
really?
that. And these were the people who I think really needed it more than me.
That's what it is, it's breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
It is.
The cycle when we were younger, I mean, I was 18, I went straight in the social club, and you were a man when you could have 10 pints. You know what I mean? And that was just what we did. But some memories from it.
Did you find it hard with drugs, or was it more alcohol?
I've never been addicted to now. I wouldn't even say I was addicted to alcohol. I just loved it. I love high energy. So you've seen people when how quiet they are, then they have a pint and they're like that.
Yeah.
And you're buzzing around, and it's just a culture. You're right, 100%. But changing was solid, really.
But I think it's for people like that. I think, well, what do you do now if you're not drinking?
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. You have to change your whole routine. Routine.
And is that how you got into the cold water therapy?
Amongst many things, you've got to find something what you can get a buzz off. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no denying when you're peevied and you're on a session, all that sort of business, it's a buzz. Everybody's flying. But then the come down is what actually does people in. And that's really why I stopped drinking. Like I say, you could have to be honest, probably about 6 of my friends went within a very short space of time. My friends who lived, I could probably throw a stone from the Kents. You know what I mean? One there, one there, one there, one there. Not all through a drink, but, a combination of that lifestyle. So...
What, your age as well?
Well, older than me. So when I was younger, I was always knocking around with people like 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 years older than me. So I was seeing all of these dying. And I was like, I didn't want to die that young. And they were years in front of us, but you could see what you could possibly do if you didn't stop drinking. That was the big change. And my mate, Chris, bless him, he went, and like I said, bump, 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 bump. But not at the time, I didn't think about it. But when I was having a conversation with one of my mates, they were like, that's what triggered you. And I was like, probably was, because I realised me not drinking for that time was showing everybody, if I can stop drinking, anybody can. Because that was my lifestyle, really. Drinking, partying, sales, and it was a good lifestyle at the time, but, you have to change sometimes. What's been your biggest challenge? I mean, you've had a fair few.
So in the Olympic Games, the 4-year cycles, so the Olympic Games happen every 4 years.
Yeah.
So as an athlete, you call it like a 4-year cycle. So the hardest thing I've done, it was spread out over 4 years, and it was from 2012 to 2016 Olympic Games, and in them 4 years were just hell for me. I went from 2012 to being number 1 in the world, world champion, to then bowing out of the Olympic Games, to then suffering. I think in that space I had 2 operations what put me out for 6 months at the time. I was no longer number 1 in the world. I don't even think I was ranked in the top 15. I was getting beat off people who I believe couldn't even lace my boots.
Yeah.
Like I said, I lost the love of the sport, started weight boxing. So that for me, to come from that to then qualify for 2016 Olympic Games and have a full-on turnaround from 2012 to 2016, that's probably the hardest. Although it was spread out over 4 years, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever overcome.
The whole challenge.
What about you?
I've done a canny few recently, I really have. I would say drink-free, without a shadow of doubt. Get myself up to 661 days from just being a party animal, loving the weekends, just had to change my whole life. That was probably a journey. The whole journey from being the big red, number one party animal, just going out for days, not coming home, to then like coaching people in that transformation. But I would say 661 days drink free, because if your whole life is just drink and partying, which you don't realise, it is a good time at the time, but then to change that, you have to change everything. So it was like rebuilding my whole life.
Yeah.
Rebuilding my whole life. It was a lifestyle, you know what I mean? So everything just followed into one to another. You'd finish work, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna have the kids, I'll drop them off, I'll go to the pub, I'll go out, I'll be out for 2-3 days, and just changing all that. I would say you have to be honest, you lose a lot of friends. It was hard losing your friends as well, because you imagine that your phone's lit up 24/7, bum, 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 bum. Are you coming here, are you doing this? And then all of a sudden it starts to not happen, because I can't admit I'm doing 90 days drink free. That was what I was telling them, I was just doing 90 days. And then you just start losing some of your friends. But on a plus, I jumped into lots of different other things and tried other sports and that, and found new friends. But you still have to, you still have to let them all go. That was pretty hard, like, and challenging, because when you do go in the pub, you find yourself, you're not drunk, so you're not in that crack like you were before. You know, like where you'd be bouncing with them, you'd be like, it's not really that good in here. You know, when you're sober, after about an hour of drinking non-alcohol, you know what I mean? And then I remember once I was at a wedding, and this kid, Keith, I'll have to drop your name, mate. Yeah, we come round and he told us twice the same story about his suit, and then the third time he sat down, I just went, I know your suit's belters, I know this, I know that, and he went, eh?
Yeah, well, that was probably you at one point.
Oh, I was pure rage when I was on a peeve, like, yeah.
If you were to see that Robert from what?
Raj Red.
From 3 years ago.
Four. Yeah.
What would you say?
I would just say, go on, kid. Because in my mind, I was always just buzzing happy, and I was always, but yeah, it would be good to look at that again. So many people, like, the stories I've got with them and had with them, and I just think, wow, I must have been pure on it.
So for me, right, so I would say, if I was to describe myself, I'm really laid back.
Yeah.
I'm really quiet, I'm quite chilled. I'm really driven, but to the point where I could be too driven. Well, not too driven, I don't know if that's a word, but I always want more. I feel like I'm never satisfied. I always want, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I always want more. So I would say that was my downfall. I never sit for a minute and appreciate what I've got or what I've achieved.
Yes.
If you could talk
I'm like that, by the way.
So if you could say, because to me, looking from the outside, you're bubbly, you've got loads of energy, you're a big social person, where that, to me, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So if I was looking in, I'd think, right, well, those people who are up here all the time have got to come down at some point.
Yeah.
Do you ever come down?
Yes. So when I do a big event, like, I am on fire. Do you know what I mean? I'm just, oi, like, and I love it. But the next day, I have to be prepared to, like, go for a sauna, whatever that is, to get myself back into that state, because you're so high and you come down. But that, in comparison to the come down of the session, is nothing.
So you've got things in place now to deal with that?
All day. So, like, when you go to the events, you have a massive high, there's hundreds of people, you bump. You know, like when you've had a boxing one, it's a similar bump. The next day, I would be out and I would have something planned in, maybe gym, sauna, woods. I'd go and do a mountain or something like that to take my mind, so my mind is on that. Otherwise, you just sit around like that, you know what I mean? But I've got loads of trainings I've done on myself. If you think about it, when you are a sessioner, and you'll know what I mean, when you're partying for 2 days, 3 days, and then you go, it's hard. It's very hard. So the tricks to deal with that just makes this life easier, because this life, what I live now, is so much easier than lying on a settee thinking a Chinese is going to save your life.
Yeah.
Thinking this Chinese at 6 o'clock it opens going to save your life, because you're literally, that's why they call it dying after the session, because you're literally dying after it. But you have to be honest.
For me, people might be shocked at this, so I've just boxed. So for instance, when I won all them belts on my last boxing fight,
Yeah.
I'd achieved everything really what I set out to achieve in professional boxing. I remember thinking, I won all the belts, I'd won them. The next day, it felt like someone had died.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'd achieved everything I'd set out to achieve,
Yeah.
and I felt lost. And I was looking at these belts thinking, I've spent the past 7 years pro working towards these, and they're a load of tin. They're just crap, plasticky metal. But, and people, what you're talking about, you've just won, you're undisputed champion. Like, I don't take a second to appreciate what I've got.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite hard, I think. That is where I struggle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. That's why we have a Smash Life Challenge. We have action days where you sit there and
talk about what you
talk about it, and like there'll be a room follower, and I'll be like, listen, tell me your top win, but also we'll know the top wins because weekly they tell them we. But you've got to sit in that zone every 3 months. So I'll do a review every 3 months and sit there for like a couple of hours with people, and appreciate it, because and also go back through your phone. You've got some magic memories on your phone, you know what I mean? Go back through them and just go bump, spend a little bit of time, because the more you appreciate, the more you get to appreciate.
I think that's why it's so important to have short-term goals as long as long-term goals, because like I said, after that, I never had nothing. That was just
where you want it to be.
And then after that, it was like weeks and weeks after, I felt lost.
So what did you do to help with that, feeling lost?
Again, I go back to the drawing board and set new goals.
New goals, yeah.
But if I had already had something in plan, that right, tick that one off.
But that would have been difficult, world champion. What's going to come after that? You know what I mean?
It is, and that is something probably that I never really, look. But I went to MMA, so that stepped in. It's given me new goals.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it is good to have a little low. You know what I mean? And it is sometimes good to come down, because you know, you can't be high 24/7. It is good to come down, and then you can reflect, and like you say, maybe you needed that to come down a little bit, and then to say, right, okay, I felt like that. I don't want to feel like that anymore. What am I going to do now? And then set your targets. How do you set your targets? What do you?
I write them down.
Yeah.
I write them down, and my discovery of that was 2019. I went through a bit of a hard time, and I discovered the secret.
Yeah, shout out to my sister Louise. Louise got me the secret, right, for a Christmas present. I remember opening it up and just going, what's this? You know what I mean?
She was ahead of the time.
Louise was ahead of the times. Oi, sis. She got us it, and it just sat there. Because I've only ever read a couple of books in my life, and I've wrote a book. My ADHD Superpower, it's called. That's coming in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for me, that had just been up. I remember sat on the couch, and that had just been uploaded onto Netflix. So I watched it.
Yes.
And I actually sat and cried. I sat and cried through it, and I thought, oh my God, it's all there for me. And I've just been, my mindset hasn't been right.
Yeah.
So I've written a list, and in the space of 8 months, 8 things on that list of 10 had come true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mad.
So be careful what you wish for.
What you wish for, yeah.
No, but it is true. It is true that, because I've set targets, and one of mine was to be a podcaster, and where are we now? Which is a bit ironic. And I've been buzzing all day, and I've had to go into the woods, I've had to go and do this, I've had to do that, and I'm like, oh, you know. So how do you to deal with the waiting for a fight? So this podcast wasn't kicking off till 3 o'clock, but it seemed like a long time. Do you know, in between? How do you deal with the waiting of that?
But back to routine.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the years that, look, nothing's easy.
Yeah.
I've had fights get cancelled, fights get pushed back, opponents get pulled out. So this is all just, I've learned to trust the process. That is when any bumps in the road I've got now, just trusting the process. And this is part of the secret for years. Now, I watched it on Netflix. I've got 3 or 4 audiobooks on my phone. When I'm driving anywhere, I'll put it on, and I know what it's saying, but subconsciously it's playing in my mind.
Yes.
Trust the process. That's yeah. But it's all trial and error.
Yeah.
My first look, I've had 14 pro fights now. I think I had 118 amateur.
118?
118 amateur.
Wow.
But if I'd have known what I knew as an amateur, all the skills were there for me, but the mental side wasn't, and that's what massively let me down.
Do you think that changed when you started to work with Peter?
Peter was a massive impact, but like I said, I think it was maturing, discovering the secret, learning about myself, who I was, why I think the way I do.
Yeah.
It's all been trial and error.
And then you just realise this is my time. I might as well embrace it, enjoy it, because
exactly, it's the process.
This is
yeah. Maybe it wasn't the right time. It'll come again. Maybe there was a reason why she pulled out. Maybe there's a reason why you've got back on the drink and that reset again and go again.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
If you could go back in time, yeah, to any event with anyone,
just to relive something.
Yeah, relive it.
Again, going back, I'd love to relive that tournament where it was just me and my dad in Kazakhstan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I'd grown up, I kind of, I didn't really have, like, probably the person who I was very reserved, very shy, and my dad used to annoy me.
Yeah.
Really used to.
He's a proper wind up though, isn't he?
But
do you know what I mean?
As I've grown up, I've realised who he is. He's got a massive heart.
Beautiful.
And I appreciate who he is. But back then, yeah, he used to tease me. He used to tease me, wind me up, and I used to I couldn't bear to be around my dad.
You used to always whack him, didn't you? I remember you used
to be honest, I couldn't stand him. Do you know what he used to do when me and Charlie were kids? He used to go to the shop, buy himself a quarter of midget gems, a bottle of low-cost lemonade, and wouldn't buy me or Charlie an out. And we used to be, Dad, can we have a drink of your lemonade? No, you get floaters in it. Dad, can we have a midget gem? He'd give us like one.
Yeah.
But constantly whining. And yeah, I think that was the turning point where I realised who my dad was and how much I appreciate him and everything he's ever done for me.
This is it. Yeah.
What about you?
Good question. I think I'd be honest and just gone back to when my dad was alive, to be honest. I would.
Would you?
Aye. Even as daft as it sounds, we had some awesome times on the allotment. You know, I would say that was my most memorable times with my dad, just, on the allotment. I would go back to then. 100%.
I often get asked, would I ever change anything? And I wouldn't. I wouldn't change anything.
I wouldn't either. I was contemplating. I got asked that as well. Would you stop drinking earlier? Would you have done this? I was like, nah, because I've lived a mad lifestyle, and there's not many things I haven't done, or not many places I haven't been.
Yeah.
Like 15 years knocking on doors. I'd sometimes be knocking on doors. I'd be partying with them. A couple of hours later, I'd be like, "Is it Miss or Mrs.? Oh, I've got an 8 gadgy. Oh, do you fancy a drink later?" I would be, in the middle of Blackpool and just think, how the hell have we ended up in this Ken?
Wow.
Oh, door-to-door sales was mental. Greener Homes North East. I loved that, We insulated 35,000 homes by just knocking on people's doors, and just being about six lads working every city, every town, and just having a pure frisk. Honestly, I smile when I think about it now. I often wonder why I don't go back to it, but it was so good. What else did we get asked for questions?
A recent one for you. I haven't got the best of memory, but I'd have to say, like I said, last week I was in Spain and I have got my screen time down from 6 hours to 6 minutes.
That's awesome.
And honest to God, like I said, the habit of waking up, looking at rubbish for the sake of it, just I wake up and just coming off my phone, living in the moment.
Yeah.
But honestly, honest to God, I was in Spain anyway. And it was 20 odd degrees.
Yeah.
Just being there and just appreciating where I was. I'm having a bit of sun, a bit of warm weather. I'm by the beach.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not just scrolling.
Not just scrolling, not just taking photos to let people know. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I would say for me, most memorable, the Great North Run this year was. Have you done it?
I was actually telling April that, like, you're just the type of person, like...
Just turn up and run it.
Just turn up, not training. And
No training, just turn up. I think I'd done one run, right? And then the week before, I'd done my ankle a little bit anyway. And I just turned up and the energy on the day is electric. You've got 60,000 people there and everybody's just flying. I would say the Great North Run is probably the most memorable thing I've done this year. And I think everybody should have a blast. It's the people who make it. And when I say the people, I don't just mean the runners. I mean all these people at the side of the street who are just cheering you along and people handing out sweets. You finish at the end and then people just take you all over. They give you loads of cakes. And honestly, the whole day is next level. Aye.
it is an achievement that, like, and to be honest, I could do it, but I'm a terrible runner, so it'd probably take me forever. But that's just something that
Let's do it next year.
I'd love to.
Let's do it next year. You hearing it now?
Nah, it'd take me. Honestly, it'd take me.
How do you run every day though, don't you?
But I'm just a terrible runner. I'm just not a good runner. I've got a fair sprint in me, but
Yeah.
setting any type of like pace or anything like that is just not me. I'm not built for it.
Everybody on the day is just on their own challenge. I looked at some of them, right, and like one of them was running backwards, right? He was running backwards. He had two people either side, right? And I just thought, you know, what a mission. But when you look around, right, everybody's on their own challenge that day. So I might want to get a certain time. This one might just want to get over the finish line. Some of them are like, you know, kind of big, and and then other ones are running it for the wives. And I remember running up the hill and I see this one, Sarah or something, and I says, because he was struggling, I went, good on you, mate, Sarah's thinking you, and he just went, and just started like, you know, powering on. And I'm just like, oi, oi! Every time you come round the corner, right, there's like bands and everything on, and it just filled us up, honestly. I would say that has been me highlight in the dragon race this year as well.
What was that running?
The dragon race. I turned up, I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe it's 4 weeks ago, and it's on the quayside. There's a load of boats, and I was Maggie and the Wild Women. They were there, so I went to watch them. Just like you're racing, 6 boats all in a race, and I was like, oh, I wish I had signed up for this. And then this wife started looking around and she went, do you want to join ours? I went, aye, what's your name? She went, the Red Dragon. I says, right, I do. So I got on with them, right, and they were dead competitive though, you know. They were, you know what I mean? They were like, listen, get in the rhythm. You got it. They were like, I was like, man. But they buzz, you know. I wasn't anticipating being it. Before I know, I was like rowing in a boat, and it was like going back in time. Like being a bit of a Viking in that. Honestly, I loved it. And today we have Savannah Marshall, and we're talking about routine, because she is a mean fighter machine. Savannah, how does your routine go in the morning?
I need routine.
Win the morning, love the day. That's what I say.
If I didn't have a routine, I'd be lost.
Yeah?
Yeah. That is my thing. Routine. I like to get up on a morning round about the same time. My alarm goes off at about 8. I get up about 20 past.
Little snooze.
No, I have a little scroll, which I'm trying to get out of that bad habit. Leave the house at 9. Train. I'm normally done for about 11. Come back, have me dinner. I like to have a sleep to reset, and then I'm out the door again.
You have a midday snooze?
Oh yeah.
Surprised you scroll the first thing, like.
But it's not that. It's more to wake myself up, but I'm trying to get out of that.
Yeah, because you're putting your head in possibly somebody else.
Place,
yeah. You think about it, right? If you go on your phone straight away, then somebody annoys you. You've set yourself up with that. And
for me, for me, it's wanting what other people have got and not appreciating what I've got myself.
Wow.
That's what social media does for me. Social media makes me not appreciate what I've got.
Because your head's in somebody else's world.
That's what it is for me. And you're right, it annoys me. It annoys me. But really, you know yourself, it's probably not real.
Yeah.
Do you know, you see, it's probably not real what you're seeing. It's all a facade.
I don't go on my phone for about 40 minutes when I wake up. Yeah. I literally have an hour to myself. And that'll consist of maybe just going for a run, going in the sea, whatever. But I try and give myself an hour before I get on the phone because, like you, I put my head in another environment. I mean, I didn't used to think of this years ago. My routine back in the day would be wake up, going downstairs, kettle on, snout, cup of tea, flick on a phone. You know what I mean? And then just let the day roll at us rather than...
I've just come back from Spain, right? And my screen time used to be about 5-6 hours a day. I used to think, what am I spending 5-6 hours a day on?
Yeah.
Literally, like, you think you're probably only active for about 12 hours of the day, and half of that I'm sat scrolling. So anyway, when I was in Spain, I hardly went on my phone, and my screen time, it went from 6 hours to 6 minutes.
Wow.
And I felt amazing. Honestly, like, I've never been so in the moment for such a long time.
That is
appreciating
wicked.
where I was and what I've got around me, and yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, when the kids come, I switch mine off. Especially around here because we're right in the woods, so I'll take little Marshall to the woods and just get some branches and smash it against the trees, but they love it. And you're right. The only day you really have is now in the present time. Do you know what I mean? So when you put your mind in all these different places, you know what? You're just not enjoying where you are. And the kids grow up fast. Like for me, so I'm like, I'm switching the phone off. I'm going to have a couple hours with these, and you have the best time, you know, because you just focused on them. And kids are always a laugh anyway.
And society now is like, if you haven't posted about it, has it even happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
what someone said to me when having a meal. I said, it's definitely happening. I'm eating it with you now. She was like, if it's posted, it doesn't happen. I was like, it is. It's lovely. I'm having it now. You know what I mean? But it's a tricky one because if you want your engagement to go up, you've got to post and all of this. And I'd done a post last week and I thought to myself, you know what, it took 2 hours out of my day. So I'm actually looking for someone to help us with social media. If you want to drop us a message, that would be perfect. Somebody local as well. Yeah. To help us build the Big Red Show. Yeah, so routine. What about your nighttime routine?
I've always been a good sleeper, so I've never struggled with anything like that. But look, some people do. Some people, that's when it kicks in and they start overthinking. Like you said, scroll on socials, see people are out and think, oh, I need to be out, they're having a good time.
Yeah.
And then that's what, you know, can get you back into that vicious cycle.
Do you know when I first decided I was going to do 90 days drink free, I had to switch my phone off at certain times.
Did you?
Aye, honestly. So Saturday was my trigger day, and that's what I say to people on my course, listen, find your trigger day. Mine was a Saturday. I had to stop drinking the Red Bulls on the way home. I had to stop having the coffee because I just find that it would just make us want to go straight out. So I dropped the kids off. I'd always have the kids on a Friday, Saturday. And then I dropped them off. And that drive home, that was the trigger time. Was I going right and going to the pub like I normally would see the lads? But sometimes I just switch my phone off and I would just drive and I would go for a sauna. I would go to the gym because I would give myself that little space. Otherwise, you're just kind of going into the same pattern. Yeah, I think your routine is probably the biggest game changer for your habits. What have you got going on for the rest of this year, Savannah? Coming into next, because this year's pretty much done.
Well, to be honest, I'm 33 now. I've been boxing for 22 years.
Wow.
Long time. And I've got one thing that I need to tick off, and that's having a rematch with Clarissa. So that's on the cards for me.
Is that in the ring or is that boxing or
whatever comes first for me? I need to get that win back. I need to get that, and then I think, like we were talking about goals, then I've ticked that box, and then I'm on to the next thing. But that's the main thing for me next year, getting a rematch with her, and then
is it looking promising, do you think?
I hope so. It's a mad business, it's a mad world, and it's forever, the landscape's forever changing. But like I said, it's just in the process, and I'll get there. Yeah.
Everybody who I said, like, they've asked us to ask that question. So, yes, hopefully that gets set up. Because it needs to be, doesn't it? Because, like... everybody's saying, yeah.
She, to be honest, she doesn't need it as much as me. She's beat me. She's achieved everything she set out to. But for me, do you know, it's that thorn in my
Niggling you,
side.
yeah.
It's that thorn in my side.
Would you rather it was in the ring, or would you rather it was...
To be honest, I really like it in the cage because it's a new narrative, and it's pure violence. So
there'll be no holding back, and because it is generally like a
scrap.
Yeah,
It's just a scrap, and I think let some anger out.
yeah.
Yeah, full on anger.
I think if you win in the ring doing that, then it'll go to boxing afterwards.
It kind of sets the stage for an even bigger rematch
In boxing.
In boxing.
I think that's what will happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What are your goals and plans for next year?
Smash Life Challenge, the 6-week program which I've built and is there to help people quite literally smash life and just pass on all the tricks and tools I've learned along my way to help people feel mint. Smash life. That's my main focus. I want to coach people. I want to help people. I want to give back and just help people feel mint.
That's what it's all about. Teaching, giving back, attraction. That's what it is. Giving skills that you've learned.
Also, it's just getting it out of your head. Like, you know, sometimes you think about these things for ages and then doing them is different.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've thought about this podcast many times and now it's done and you're like, whoa, it's real.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I've also got my book launch, which I think will be about February time. I've wrote a book. It's called My ADHD Superpower, which is certainly what I've got, ADHD. Yeah, I'm happy with those two things, and then I'll probably look to set some new goals. I'll probably set my goals about January time. When do you set yours?
Already been set.
Yeah.
Already been set. They're out there. They're on my list. They're in here every day a little bit more, getting a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Oh, them 1%.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people think like when they set goals, they've got to make them massive. It's not always the case. Some of you, yes, it's good to have big, massive goals, but if you're just taking little steps every day, you feel the reward and you can see yourself coming towards it. Yeah. Well, I've had a wicked time. The Big Red Show, rocking the caravan with the one, the only, Savannah Marshall. Cheers, Savannah.